Hey everyone, good morning. James Azar here with the CyberHub podcast for your daily practitioner brief. Before we get started, make sure you go to cyberhubpodcast.com. That's our website where you can get our practitioner brief in PDF format beautifully so you can print it the way I print it so I can read it because I'm old school like that. I don't want a teleprompter. I want to be able to look at a piece of paper, look at my notes, do all the good stuff like that. But you can do that by going to our website, cyberhubpodcast.com. If you give us your email, which we don't share with anyone, you'll get this directly in your inbox, so you don't even have to go to our website. That's concierge service in the days of COVID-19. It's like ordering groceries from Whole Foods, them coming at your doorstep. We get you this directly to your inbox every single day, so make sure you subscribe. Before we get into today's practitioner brief, though, a few things to really pay attention to. Tomorrow we have Tech Corner here on the CyberHub podcast with Eric Krohn from KnowBe4. We're going to talk about deepfakes. It's beyond cyber. It's beyond tools. We talk a little bit about that, but we talk about deepfakes. We talk about the elections. We talk about deepfakes in business and where the market looks like right now. What are the bad guys doing and our opponents are doing in terms of targeting our organizations using deepfakes? A great, interesting conversation. Make sure if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. It's going to be posted first thing tomorrow morning so you can enjoy it on your way into the amazing weekend that's ahead of us. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our CISO Talk podcast, it's a whole different channel. Do so now. George Finney, the CSO at Southern Methodist University, joined me this week for our CISO Talk. So make sure you subscribe there and get that. That's a whole different podcast. Look it up, CISO Talk, and subscribe. And if you're watching us on YouTube, turn on the bell. You'll get the notification when the video goes live later today. Now let's get into our practitioner brief. Enough self-promotion. Avaddon Ransomware joins the data leaking club. Another ransomware wielding gang has threatened to steal and leak the data of any victims who refuse to pay a ransom. Security experts say the gang behind Avaddon Ransomware created a dedicated leaking site this weekend, the Russian language cybercrime forum where the data leak did happen. So far, the ransom gang has listed one victim with 3.5 megabytes of allegedly stolen documents that have been leaked. We're not going to name the victim. We don't name and shame on the show. Just they're targeting smaller organizations. Apparently, the entire TTP of their attack is listed on our PDF. You can get it there. You can read it on our website as well, if that's your spiel. They are encrypting the user data with the AES-256 plus RSA 2048, and then they demand a ransom of $150 to $350 to get your files back. So they're just getting started in this thing based on the amount of money. A potentially serious vulnerability found in a popular editor, TinyMCE. A potentially serious cross-site scripting vulnerability affecting the TinyMCE rich text editor can be exploited depending on the implementation for privilege escalation, obtaining information, and account takeover. Developed by Tiny Technology, TinyMCE is advertised as the most advanced HTML editor designed to simplify website content creation. According to Tiny, the editor has been downloaded 350 million times per year, folks, and it's included in more than 100 million websites. Some of us have websites and we don't even know that this is being used there. This is a great thing to kind of call your webmaster or the people who manage your online presence and just ask them, are we using this? The CVE is tracked as 2021-2648, and it's impacting version 5.2.1 and earlier. It was patched in July with the release of versions 4.9.11 and 5.4.1. Again, important to patch this stuff. It can create a little bit of trouble and inconvenience for you. Flaws in Samsung phones expose Android users to remote attacks. A new research disclosed a string of severe security vulnerabilities in the Find My Mobile, an Android app that comes pre-installed on most Samsung phones, that could have allowed remote attackers to attack victims' real-time location, monitor phone calls, messages, and even delete data stored on the phone. Portuguese-based cybersecurity services firm Char48 revealed its finding at DEF CON last week. The flaw after setup can be easily exploited and with severe implications for the user with a potentially catastrophic impact. Permanent denial of service via phone lock, complete data loss with factory reset, SD card included, serious privacy implications via IMEI and location tracking, as well as call and SMS log access. There's a few workarounds for this. There's also a patch for this as well. Employees have your data on their phones. They're using Samsung phones. a good idea to start looking at that as well. We have 4 other stories and that are available that we're not going to go into a lot of detail in. One of them is Amazon Alexa's one-click attack, CISA's alerting of a phishing attack targeting SBA loan relief accounts, and a Revolt attack allows cyber criminals to listen in on mobile calls in 4G. But the most I think that the one that really speaks volume to me is Israel says it foiled a cyber attack on its defense firms. That's after it's foiled several attacks on its civilian infrastructure over the last two and a half months, folks. And we in the security industry may not be looking at this because we're so busy with our security programs, but Israel, the US, Iran, China, Russia are now in a full-fledged Cold War in the cyber realm. And now it's escalated from targeting government organizational data to civilian infrastructure, and that could have catastrophic impact on the civilian population. We're under 90 days for the presidential election. It's obviously been said, Biden, Harris, Trump, Pence. And you can imagine that cyber attacks are going to be a way for foreign nations to attack and try to manipulate these elections beyond just the misinformation and disinformation through social media. Imagine a cyber attack on a water system somewhere in the Midwest, or a cyber attack on the electrical grid, or even on our internet lines. Those could have catastrophic impacts and could also change the election, or even a cyber attack the day of the election. We know that in 2018, President Trump took the gloves off and allowed Cyber Command, including the CIA and others, to essentially launch preemptive cyber attacks against actors that they've been tracking with the idea of trying to interfere with the midterm elections in 2018. It'll be interesting to see what happens this time around, but we ought to educate ourselves. We got to keep and be vigilant. And when we see something, we ought to share it and say it with our friends over at CISA, FBI, Secret Service. They are doing a ton of work to ensure that our civilian infrastructure is safe, but it's also on us to keep that there as well. That's it for our practitioner brief for this week. We'll be back with Monday with so much more. Don't forget to sign up for our CISO Talk podcast. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe. Later today, George Finney, the CSO at the Southern Methodist University, we talk about his book, Well Aware, Mastering the 9 Habits of Cybersecurity to Rule Your Life. A great book. We talk a little bit about the book. We talk a lot about his career, and he's been a CSO for now almost 18 years. So George has a ton of knowledge, and it was a really fun podcast. Make sure you check that out. And tomorrow, Eric Krohn will be joining me from KnowBe4 for our Tech Corner Deepfakes. That's it for us here today, folks. Until Monday, where I'll be back with so much more. Stay cyber safe.